The gestation chamber hummed with a frequency that made Orla's teeth ache. She pressed her palm against the transparent polymer, watching the embryonic forms suspended in their individual pods, 12 of them, each no larger than her fist, floating in nutrient-rich amniotic synthesizers. Vitals are stable across all specimens, Jackson announced from his station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays that projected the cub's neural development in real. Cortical folding is proceeding within parameters. We're at 72% completion. Orla didn't respond immediately. 3 years of work had led to this moment, 3 years of genetic sequencing, artificial womb engineering, and endless debates with the ethics committee back on Earth. The Kepler-4 Fatubi expedition had discovered the remains of an extinct species, something that resembled Earth's great cats, but with neural architecture that suggested tool use and proto-language. The question wasn't whether they could bring them back. The question was whether they should. We're not playing God, Orla had argued during the final approval hearing. We're correcting a cosmic injustice. The atmospheric collapse that killed them was caused by an asteroid impact random chance, not evolutionary failure. They deserved more time. Now, watching the tiny hearts pulse through translucent skin, she wondered if she'd been lying to herself. The gestation tanks were located in Habitat Module 7, a cylindrical structure rotating at precisely 0.8 standard gravity, enough to stimulate proper muscular development without overwhelming the developing cubs. The module orbited Kepler-4 for to be at a safe distance, shielded from the planet's still recovering biosphere by 12 meters of water ice and electromagnetic deflectors. Jackson moved beside her, his breath fogging the observation panel. You know we can't keep calling them specimens, he said softly. In 48 hours they'll be conscious, aware, they'll need names. The protocol specifies taxonomic designation only until Orla. Jackson turned to face her, and she saw the exhaustion etched into his features. They'd been awake for 37 hours straight, monitoring the final developmental cascade. We're about to become the only parents these creatures will ever know. Protocol doesn't account for that. She wanted to argue, but the words dissolved on her tongue. He was right. The cubs would emerge from their artificial wombs with no pack, no pride, no ancestral knowledge encoded in cultural transmission. Everything they learned about being themselves, they would learn from two humans who barely understood what they were. The birth, if it could be called that, occurred at 0347 station time. The gestation chambers drained in sequence, and automated manipulator arms extracted each cub, severing the synthetic umbilical cords with laser precision. They were placed immediately in warming cradles, equipped with soft-touch sensors that mimicked a mother's heartbeat. Orla found herself in Cradle Station 3, staring down at a creature covered in gold-and-silver fur, marked with charcoal rosettes. Its eyes were still sealed shut, its ears folded against its skull. Weighing just under 2 kilograms, it mooed a sound so plaintive and helpless that something cracked open in her chest. She's trying to stand, Jackson whispered from the adjacent cradle. His cub, slightly larger and darker in coloring, was indeed attempting to rise on trembling limbs. Its legs splayed outward, muscles not yet coordinated enough for the task evolution had stolen from them. Without thinking, Orla reached into the cradle. Her hands, gloved in sterile, temperature-regulated materials, slipped beneath the cub's thorax. Supporting its weight, the creature's mew shifted in tone, becoming something closer to a its tiny paws pushed against her palms, instinctively seeking purchase. The musculoskeletal development should be sufficient, Jackson said, his voice taking on the clinical detachment they'd both perfected during medical training. But his hands were in his own cradle now, performing the same gentle support. But the proprioceptive systems need calibration. They require tactile feedback and graduated resistance to develop proper motor control. We'll need to do this manually, Orla realized. The protocols assumed they could walk immediately, like Earth ungulates, but they're more like primators. They need assistance, guidance. Over the following weeks, the cub's eyes opened to reveal irises of startling amber. They began to vocalize with greater complexity, creating sounds that the station's linguistic analysis AI couldn't classify, not quite language, but more than simple animal communication. And they learned to walk, that it was an agonizing process. Each cub needed hours of support daily, with Orla and Jackson holding them upright, letting them feel the correct distribution of weight across their paws, the proper articulation of shoulders and hips. The cubs would collapse. Try again, collapse once more. Their frustration was evident in every failed attempt, every tumble back onto soft bedding. But humans were patient. Humans had evolved to teach, to nurture creatures not their own. Orla found herself spending hours with the golden cub she'd privately named Astra, hands positioned beneath the cub's chest and haunches, letting her take more weight with each session while still providing safety. "Look," Jackson breathed one morning. "Ola, look." She turned to see his cub, the one he called Meridian, standing unsupported, forepaws planted firmly, tail extended for balance, head raised with unmistakable pride. The creature took one step, then another, moving with the fluid grace that its species had possessed before extinction. Within days, all 12 cubs were walking, then running. Their movements carried an elegance that made Orla's throat tighten. These weren't reconstructed fossils or genetic curiosities. They were alive, vital, magnificent. "What happens when we return them to the planet?" Jackson asked one evening, watching the cubs play in the expanded habitat space. "Will they remember this? Will they know that humans held them when they couldn't stand?" Orla considered the question. The cubs were already showing problem-solving abilities that exceeded projections, manipulating objects with surprising dexterity. In another generation, perhaps two, they might develop true technology. They might reach for the stars themselves. "I think," she said slowly, "that every species capable of thought carries within it the memory of when it was helpless, when it needed something beyond itself to survive." She watched Astra leap gracefully from platform to platform, each movement a testament to patient teaching and stubborn determination. Maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's the foundation of civilization, knowing that we all began by holding each other's paws until we learned to stride proud. The station turned silently in its orbit, a small light against the vast darkness, sheltering the first new steps of a species given a second chance at existence. End.